Hello viewer, welcome to the session of MS Excel Macro 2010. In this session we will see how to copy the column label data to row label, how we will use the loop, for loop, how we will use the fill down method of VBA, how we will use the range method of VBA, and we'll use the offset, and what is the use of Application.ScreenUpdating method of VBA. So after this session you will learn how macro can reduce the effort and do the work efficiently for us. To get started, first we will go to the Excel workbook. Here you can see this is the Excel workbook which is having two sheets. Sheet 1 which is having the data, like you can see data from A to column AB. So from column A to column D, these are the region, product, customer type and salesperson name, and from E to column AB the sales for the month from Jan 8 to December 09. That means 2 years sale is there for 24 months. So our task is that for these months, each month's sale should come below here, that means at row level. First I will show you how to do this manually. So like I'm just inserting one sheet 5, and what I'm going to do through the macro, I'll show you how we will do it. If we don't write the macro, then how we will do it manually. So if it has to be done manually, then we will just do it like this. Copy the first 5 columns, first 4 column, and just paste it here, and then here just give the column name as date and then the sales amount. So for date we will just take the first Jan month, Jan 08, that is the 1/1/2008. we will just copy here in date column and then copy this and paste it throughout the data, and then we will copy the cell amount from E2 to 145 and just paste it here. So same way now we will copy the data for region, product, customer, salesperson name again, and then paste below this, and again we will take for February month. So for February month we will copy the February date and we will paste here, and then we will copy this month and we will paste throughout the data, and then we will copy the sales for Feb month and then we will paste it below the Jan month. So this way we are just going to copy the column level data to row level. So this activity we are going to do through the macro, so it will reduce our efforts, and for 24 months of cell will be copied at row level. So how I will show you. So for showing I'll go to the Visual Basic editor. As here you can see I have written the code as macro as test, and in that I have declared the variable dim I as long, j as long, and row num as long. Now you can see worksheet sheet 1 dot activate, that means I'm activating sheet 1, and then active sheet dot range a1 d1 dot copy, that means I'm copying the value from a1 to d1, that is region, product, customer type and salesperson name. So these values I'm copying, and then you can see I'm just activating the sheet 2, that means selecting the sheet 2 and then selecting the active cell as a1, and after that I'm just pasting the copy data active sheet dot paste. So this way the header from A1 to D1 will be copied and pasted in sheet 2 as a header. Now you can see active sheet dot range E1 dot value equals to date. Then I'm placing the header for E as date, and then again I'm placing the header for F as sales, and then I'm selecting the active sheet dot range A1 dot select, that means I'm selecting as active cell as A1. Now you can see here I have used the loop for loop, that is for I equals to 1 to 24. Why I have used the loop for 1 to 24? Because there are 24 months, as you can see, from January to December. These are the 24 months. So we are going to copy these 24 months data for at row level. So we will loop through the data 24 times for copying and pasting. So because of that, we are just using the loop from 1 to 24. And as you can see, in the loop I have used the another loop, that is j equals to 5 to 28. That means I am just passing this loop, that is j, for referring the column. As you can see in the data, the e, that is the column, the month is starting from column 5, so that is 5, and it is going till AB. That means if you will just count it from A, so the last column is 28. So because of that, I'm just passing the another loop. I'm just declaring the another loop as j equals to 5 to 28, so that I can refer the column in which it has to be copied and then pasted into the column F as a cell's value. Now you can see, then I'm just checking the condition if the active cell A1 offset 1, that means in column A1 there is a header, and after the header whether the column is blank or not. Because first time if we will copy the value, then if we are doing it first time, then the A2 value will be blank. But if we are doing the copy for the Feb month, that is the second time, then the A2 value will not be blank. So we need to know what is the last cell of the data. So for that, I'm just checking if this A2 is value, that means it is the first time, is not equal to blank, that means it is the first time, then it will go to the else part and perform the activity. Like you can see, sheet 1, it will activate the sheet 1, then it will copy the data from A2 to AD145. That means this, and then this AD45. That means this complete data it will copy. And then you can see I'm just activating the sheet 2 and then selecting the A2. That means in sheet 2 A2 this, because in row 1 the header will come from A to F, so we need to paste the data from A2. So that means I'm just selecting, making the active selection as A2. Now you can see, after making the selection as A2, I'm just active sheet dot paste. I'm just pasting the data which we have copied from A2 to D45. So we are pasting that data, and after that I'm just selecting the E2. That means here this, as here the date is there, date will be there, so the data will be pasted from E2. So because of that I have selected E2, and after that I have activated the sheet 1 so that we can copy the data from there. And then I active sheet dot range E1 dot copy. That means we are copying the header, that means month name, and then we are activating the sheet 2 as activate. And after that, what the month, that is the date we copied from sheet 1, we are just pasting in sheet 2 in active cell, that is E2. And then after pasting the data, I'm just doing active cell, that means whatever the active cell will be there, then dot offset, that means offsetting at the same row but -1, that means placing our active selection to one column before. That means we are in E, and then we are going to the E. If we are in E1, then we are going to the D1. That way we will see how. And after that we are just taking our active selection to the end, and then one column ahead, and then selecting the data. And after that, you can see here I have used the range and then the active selection. The range is given now with the selection and then the end of the selection dot select, and then selection dot fill down. That means after selecting, we are just filling the value we have copied throughout the selected range, and then activating the sheet wins, then activating, making the current selection as E2, and then again we are doing the selection, selecting Excel down dot select, copy. Now we will see as you can see, after that, once this code is over, I just incremented the J's value and then next I, and once the first time it is done, then the second condition will be true, that is the A2 value will not be blank as we have copied the first time the data. Then it will go here, it will do the same thing. First it will copy the data from A2 to D145 and paste it the data below the data we copied for month Jan, and after that it will do the same activity as we did in the else part, but here we are just doing it with the reference of J. That means the column is being referred by the J's value. So first time it was 5, that means for Jan month it has been done, and the second time for 6 row. So this way, now we will run this code, then we will be able to see how. Now you can see sheet 1 has data, sheet 2 does not have any data. So we will run this code. So for running it, we will just use the F8 key. So just keep on pressing F8 key. So first F8, now the subroutine has been initiated for execution. Now the sheet 1 is activated. You can see sheet 1 is activated. Now you can see the line 2 got executed. We can see the row A1 to D1 is copied. Now you can see worksheet.sheet2.activate. So now it is activated. You can see our cursor, our selection is for sheet 2. Now you can see, now we have selected, made our current selection as A1. Then whatever the data we copied, that code got executed, that means paste. So you can see the header got pasted. Now if executed, you can see in E, date and F cell is pasted. Now if I execute A1.select, you can see the selection is at A1. Now for loop and then for J. So as you can see, for I the value is now 1, and for J if we execute it, now you can see the value is J. So this way it is going to check the condition. Now it has just press F8. Now you can see as column A2 is not blank, condition is not true, so it is going to the next else part. So it has come to else part. You can see now A2 dot selected in. Now I execute it. Now you can see the data is pasted. Now again sheet 1 is activated. You can see the sheet 1 is activated. Now range E1 dot copy. You can see the E1's data, that is header, that is the date 1/1/2008 is copied. Now you can see the sheet 2 activate. Now sheet 2 is activated, and active sheet dot paste. Now the data is pasted. Now you can see active cell dot offset 0 minus 1. That means the row will be 0, but it will be offset by -1. So it will be placed back to one column left, that is in D. So we will execute it. Now you can see our selection, active selection is placed one column left, that is in column D. Now what are we doing? We are just going last cell and then one cell, one column to the right. So this is taking our active selection to the last and then keeping on the same row, but just placing the one column right. So we will see how. Now you can see from here it came here to the last cell and then one column to the right, that is offset by one column. Now we will execute this. Now you can see now selection. So selection is this one, and then Selection.end XLF. So it will go up till the last cell. We will see how. And then as it is the range, so all the range will be selected. That means our active selection will not be one cell, but it will be started from selection. That means from here till the Selection.end XLF. That means the last cell of the upside data. Now we will see how. Execute it. Now you can see this way the range has been selected. Now if I'll just, now you can see Selection.fillDown. Just click F8. Now you can see the entire data in the cell E2 has been filled down to the entire selected range. So this way this code has worked for us. Now the range F2 dot select. You can see now F2 is selected. Then we will activate the sheet 1. Sheet 1 is activated. Then we will select the E2. Now E2 is selected. That means we are going to copy the cell data of Jan month. So again we are just going to select the selection from active selection is this. So range start range is this, and then Excel down, that means to the last cell of the data dot select. That means the entire range will be selected. So just execute it by pressing F8. Now you can see the entire data is selected. Now what will we do? Whatever the selection is there, we will just copy it. So that is what the code is, selection.copy. Selection.copy. Now you can see the selected range data is copied. Now what we are doing, we are just going to in sheet 2. So for that we will activate the sheet 1. So as you can see the code is sheet2 dot activate. So once we will execute it by pressing F8. Now you can see the sheet 2 is activated, and as the active cell is F2, so we will directly paste the data, active sheet dot paste. Now you can see the data got pasted. So this way again we will make the active selection as A1. So executed the code active sheet dot range A1 dot select, and you can see the range A1, the active selection is made as A1. So this way the code has been executed. Now it is going to increase the J's value. Now you can see if you hover on the J's value is 6 now. So now 6 means if we will go on sheet 2, the 6 is F. Now we will execute F8. Now you can see the A1 dot offset 1, that means A2 value is not equal to blank. So this value is not blank. So now what will it do? It will activate sheet 1 and copy the again the data from A2 to A1 D145. Now you have seen it is copying data from A1 to D145. Now it will activate sheet 2. Now you can see the sheet 2 is activated. Now it is taking your cursor to the end of the data and then offsetting it by one row. That means selecting the next row as empty. So you can see if I'll execute this, now you can see the last cell data was 145, and after that it has offsetted it by one row, that is it has been selected 146. So this is the use of offset. Now we will execute it. Now you can see the active sheet dot paste. That means whatever the data we have copied from sheet 1, it is going to paste here. If we execute, now you can see the data is pasted. Now you can see worksheet sheet 1 dot activate. Again we are activating the sheet 1, and then you can see the row 1 and then column 6. If we will execute it, so it will select row 1 but column 6. Now you can see column 6 and row 1 is selected. Now we will copy that, selection.copy. This value got copied. Now we are making the selection for sheet 2. So if we execute this code, now you can see the sheet 2 is selected. And then ActiveSheet.range E1.end Excel down. From range E1 to the end of the Excel down, that means downside, then offset it by 1. So it will come here E1 and then the end here and then offset by 1 row here, this way. So it will select this cell. You can see our active selection is now this one. That means it has taken the range E1, then end of the data, and after that offset by 1 row, that is the empty cell. Now we will paste the copied data. So now you can see the Feb 08 is pasted. Now you can see again we are just going one column left. Now our data is one column left, that is on D146. Now it is taking being on the same row but one column right. Now you can see we have come the selection at cell E289. Now you can see again it will select the entire cell which is empty and the one cell where we have pasted the Feb 08. And this way now it is selected, it will fill down now. Now you can see the data is filled down, and now you can see here I am just increasing the i's value, because each time that 24 time we have to go through the loop. So as j's value is increasing but i's value is not increasing, so we will increase here, otherwise it will go into the infinite loop. Execute it. So this way again the j's value got increased. So now we will run it completely by pressing Alt F5 key. Now our macro is being executed, and you can see copy paste task has been completed. We will go to the here, and now you can see all the data has been copied to the row label from column label. So this way we can write a macro. Now we will delete it and run it directly using the macro and run. Now you can see how the Excel is blurring and our task is done. Now we will write one code, that is Application.ScreenUpdating equals to false, so you will not see the blur of the Excel. So we will just delete the data from sheet 2 and we will go to the Visual Basic Editor, and in the starting we will write after the sub Application.ScreenUpdating equals to false, and then at the end we will make the Application.ScreenUpdating equals to true. Now we will run this macro and see the use of Application.ScreenUpdating. Macro and run. Now you can see we didn't see the background, the activity which we have written. That means the blur of the Excel, whatever the activities were being performed by the macro is not shown here, but the activity is done directly. So this is the use of Application.ScreenUpdating, and it will make your execution faster. So this way we can use the Application.ScreenUpdating so that we will not see the screen updating. So what is the activity is being performed by the macro, but the macro will perform its activity and we will directly get the output. So this way we have seen how to use offset, how to use range, how to use selection, how to use Application.ScreenUpdating. Thank you user, thank you viewer.